Big body sumo flow. If you about your crown, kudos though, baby rep yo. Town is the uno dos, that is the uno dos, 1 2 1 2, big body sumo flow. If you bout your crown, kudos though, baby rep yo. Town is the uno dos, that is the uno dos, 1 2 1 2. The wind's changing. Is discernible. I left my gold bottoms at a certain. Righteous king amongst you. This right hand confront you a check. Or it can thump you, whatever it gotta come to. Perfect shots at impossible angles. It's either have to have not. And they not to be tangled. Damn, we shipped the nature sliding off them boats. And on the land, the finishing move was off the rope. To eat them for overeating, selling sugar and bogus freedom and broken English, you problem child. But we got them now, 144 down, while finna lock you down. Big body sumo flow. If you bout your crown, kudos. Dope, baby rep yo. Town is the uno dos, the uno dos, that is the uno dos, 1 2 1 2, big body sumo flow. If you bout your crown, kudos dope, baby rep yo. Town is the uno dos, the uno dos, that is the uno dos, 1 2 1 2. From now on, everything's flammable. A Hebrew man's a whole different animal. I had a lot of hate in my heart, I still do. Somebody that'll lie to your face, I get you killed too. You can name a time and a place, I bring it grill through. Return of the real Jews. I'm sick of bad raps and these dad hats. Hope the next drug they take me a bad batch. All my enemies is red, they some lab rats. When I die, flame emoji by my hashtag. Build my nation Israel, put in legwork. Precept upon precept. Okay, head hurt, big body sumo flow. If you bout your crown, kudos dope, baby rep yo. Down is the uno dos, that is the uno dos. Two, 1 2, big body sumo flow. If
I was starting Shabbat Shalom. I'm just cut that video off. Salakia for all the buffering. We'll go ahead and get started. I had to share out the stream to everybody. This is the Hebrew Chosen Elect Woman of Delaware Shabbat service. Before we get started, a couple of announcements. But while I draw that up, this week's class is going to be that going into how the so-called African Americans are the true children of Israel, the true Jews, according to the Bible, according to the scriptures. And this is in lieu of, not to be mistaken for a celebration of, this is in lieu of it being Black History Month. The world is celebrating this month as if all Black history can be composed in 1 month. Your job probably got up decorations and things like that. But we know that so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the greatest people on earth, and our history goes back way past colonialism and slavery. And it could never be encompassed in 1 month, and that being the shortest month out of the whole year. So we as Israelites, we reject their holidays and their months, like Black History Month. We find the true history of so-called Black people, African American people, is found in the Bible, all the way back to Adam. So this class is going to be showing proof that the so-called African Americans are the true Jews, true Israelites, according to the Bible, similar as we went through the Northern Kingdom, the Native American Indians, North, South, and Caribbean Americas, proving they were the true children of Israel according to the Bible. This week we'll be going into the so-called African Americans. Before we get started, like I said, a few announcements. Upcoming high holy days and new moons. We are going into March, and our next new moon will be March the 1st. Next new moon will be March the 1st. And then our next high holy day being the Feast of Purim, that you find written about and established in the book of Esther. The Feast of Purim, March 14th at sundown, we will be celebrating the Feast of Purim. If you'd like to come out and congregate with us and celebrate that feast day, contact me, Gemaria, or Brother Yakanan, and we can get you locked in to come out and celebrate the High Holy Day with us. So March 1st, new moon, March 14th, Feast of Purim. Mark your calendars. Next announcement, upcoming 2025 Hebrew Summit be held in Atlanta, Georgia. Start preparing now. It's tax season. Most of you are going to be getting a nice little lump sum for all the labors and slavery you did the past year. Now's a good time to put a little money aside to have it ready to attend the Hebrew Summit. You got all the way till June 26th to 29th is the dates of the Hebrew Summit, Atlanta, Georgia. All Israel is invited. So I'll be, us as a camp, we're already starting to plan our trip to the Hebrew Summit. So yeah, if you're wise and you're walking in wisdom, start planning that out now. Moving on from that, contact info. If you'd like to contact me, you can contact me on Facebook at We Are Israel. It's on the screen. Parentheses, Gemaria Yasha'Allah. To contact Yakanan, he's under the weather today. He's not in. He couldn't make it. You can get in contact with him through Facebook at Brandon Daniels, parentheses, Yakanan Maccabee Yasha'Allah. Once again, that's on the screen. If you need any assistance spelling or whatnot, to find that on Facebook. You can contact us through Messenger. If you want our phone numbers, then we can get that out to you as well. Also on Facebook, we post content, and we're live now, and sometimes post videos and a variety of other edification from other people. You can join our Facebook group, The Rise of the Chosen. You can post content on there, get in the comments, dialogue with different Israelites or whatever like that. Get edification on there that way. Also, for edification, you can follow us on YouTube. We're live on YouTube now. We post videos on YouTube, street teachings on YouTube, and you can view those and get edification there at our YouTube channels, HCE Red Pill Reality and HCE Reloaded, and they're on the screen as well. Please, if you follow us, if you're a part of us as a body or as a camp member, like, share, and subscribe our videos to get the word out, and also to get our YouTube channels up through and push forward through the algorithm. It helps to like, subscribe, and share those videos. That's all I have for announcements. So if you give me a second to get back on the screen, we will get started this class. While I pull up the presentation, does anybody have any questions, comments before we officially get started with the class?
What's the name of this again?
This is the so-called African Americans are the true Israelites / Jews according to the Bible. Today we'll be going through archaeology to prove this point. Today we'll be going through different historical accounts by the different scholars of white or black nationality. We'll be proving it that way. We'll be proving through I say history, so different artifacts left showing descriptions of the Israelites of ancient time. We have access to those, and we'll be going through them. They'll be on the screen, presented to the public, to anybody watching, anybody in class, showing how the Israelites of antiquity, talking BC time, 1400s BC, 500 BC, will be presenting those images just to show what their appearance look like. And you'll be seeing that they look like the so-called Negroes of America, so-called black, Hispanic, Native American men. Woolly hair, woolly beards, braids sometimes. One image looks like they got either some real thick braids or dreadlocks. That's debatable. Some people believe dreads, some believe it's braids. But we'll be going through different images throughout time, showing what the Israelites were looking like. We're going to go through the Bible, curses of Deuteronomy 28, different prophecies of Israel, different circumstances Israel fall under. We'll find that they all match the so-called Black, Spanish, Native American Indians. Once again, this class is going into specifically African Americans, because we already did the class dealing with the Native American Indians. So history, archaeology, and the Bible, proving who the true Jews of the Bible are. So let me present my screen and we'll get started. Okay. All right, Kyle, it's ready. So start this class. We'll be starting in the book of Exodus, chapter 113. To start this class, we're going to deal with a little bit of Egypt. A little bit of Egypt. what the Egyptians look like and what their servants look like. And as we're going to read here, the Egyptians during their reign, they made to serve the children of Israel. So we're going to read this and we're going to go into some images from antiquity of the ancient Egyptians during the time it's being wrote about in Exodus. So it reads, Exodus 1, chapter 13, chapter 1, verse 13 to 14 says, so the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service in which they made them serve was with rigor. So during the time of Moses, during the time of Exodus, it said the children of Israel were forced to serve the Egyptians, which brings us into the images of the Egyptians. So the Egyptians have always been known to be a Hamitic people, an African people, a black people. As you see on the screen, our first images here, you got your Egyptians riding in the chariots, right? Decked out like rulers would be, right? This image, you got your Egyptian women. Got your Egyptian women. They got the jewels on. They got the nice clothing. You know, they're on top of the world. But what else do you have in this image? What else do you have in this image? Slaves. You have their servants. So we just read that the Egyptians forced the children of Israel to serve with rigor, right? These slaves look just like the Egyptians, don't they? These slaves look just like the Egyptians. The Egyptians black. The Israelites black. Right here, so you got the Egyptians, they're decked out in the chariot. Who's the driver? Same driver. It's the same driver that was driving the modern day Egyptians in their horse and buggies. We all seen Roots. Who was the driver? Chicken George before him. Toby. Yeah, so in my ancient Egypt, it was the same deal in ancient Egypt. Only difference in ancient Egypt is the Egyptians. The Egyptians weren't white people. The Egyptians were black people of descendants of Ham. And the servants were the same servants, though, as in modern Egypt, the Israelites, who were brown and different shades of brown, just like the Egyptians. And best thing about archaeology, these steles or paintings that were left on tombs or in city ruins, you can't erase this. You can try to whitewash it, but you can't whitewash everything. And you also can't you can't show how a people was once this color and then just all became pale. That's not going to happen. You can get lighter, yeah. Different people get lighter, but a whole nation started out dark brown, turn white. I don't think so. The Bible doesn't back it. Real life that you live out in the world, what you see with your eyes, doesn't back it. It's not going to happen. But we'll get to that. This is ancient Egypt, as you see in the paintings. And these paintings are found on the tombs of pharaohs at that time. You see the same thing you saw in modern day slavery, antebellum South. You got your, what's it called? The overseer. You got your overseer, right? You got your taskmaster. See, you got your taskmaster over the slaves. Then you got your field hands. It's them same niggas. It's them same Negroes. They out there singing Negro spirituals. getting the whip crack. And what we ain't finding it, and once again, these are the children of Israel. Look at it. These are black people. Moving on. Got another one here. This guy's a slave tending to the livestock. A so-called black man with an afro-like hair. See that? Just some more Israelite slaves working in the armed forces. See that? They got the shields. Same as America. Out in the field. More slaves. Giving obedience to the Egyptian masters. This is the history they don't teach us in high school, in middle school, in college. That should get lucky. You might find an institution here or there. They actually bring some of these facts out in college, maybe because you got to pay for that. But free education, public education, where the majority of niggas is about to be sent to, and brainwashed, they're not bringing this out. Church isn't bringing it out. Mm-hmm.
Salaki, also, when we're reading in Deuteronomy 28:15 on down through the curses, that we see that's a precursor to all of the curses we're viewing right now.
We do, and you already know that's coming. That's at the back end of the class. Just the same way we doing the same mode we did with the Northern Kingdom. We doing here. We're gonna go through the man's writings, his images left behind, the artifacts, right? And then we're going to drill it home with the Bible. So once again, more Egyptians riding in chariots. I think this is actually the same image we already went over, but bigger. So down here you got some more slaves. You got the slave driver, and then you got some more slaves on the bottom. Brown skinned black people. Got some slaves here. It looks like they're getting a little chastisement. Egyptians cracking that whip. Probably broke some eggs or something. Didn't produce enough brick. Who knows? Same punishment as modern day slavery. So now move on from that a little bit. We all know we have a term in this earth today that's used by certain people that really don't want this information coming out. It's anti-Semitic. Funny thing about the term anti-Semitic and the nerve to call a so-called black man anti-Semitic because he questions the validity of the nationality you're claiming. Now you're anti-Semitic. Well, that's funny. It's very funny because the definition of Semitic is relating to or denoting a family of languages that includes Hebrew, or Arabic, and Aramaic, and certain languages as Phoenician and Akkadian. Watch this, constituting the main subgroup of Afro-Asiatic family. Who has afros? Why haven't they changed this yet? How can you call a man rocking an afro because he's able, How can you call him anti-Semitic? Because he questions the validity of your nationality. And because he questions your right to possess the land that was given to him. And your own dictionaries, your own definitions of words that you use say Semitic is an Afro-Asiatic people. To put it in layman's terms, black people. Black people. And why is it Asiatic? Does that mean black Chineses? No, because that region was called what? Asia. Asia and Asia Minor. Dun, 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 dun. I need a soundboard. I need some bombs. I need some bomb droppings, mic droppings, everything. So here's a statue of a Semitic slave in Egypt. And I didn't put the caption there. Your best friend, the so-called white man, put that caption there. Or it could have been someone else. Everybody knows. Other than so-called black man, the Semites were black people. The only people that don't know that is so-called African Americans, so-called Puerto Ricans, so-called Mexicans, Native American Indians. You're the only people that don't know the Semites were a dark people. With the you don't gotta look that up. You don't gotta look that up. Or which is you got a soundboard?
Yeah, I got a soundboard.
Oh, you can pull it up. I might use it. Go ahead, pull your soundboard up. You might make use of that. So this is a figurine in a museum. It's a figurine of a Semitic slave in Egypt during the time of Exodus from the Heck Museum, Haifa. I think that's Haifa, Israel. And this is archaeology. And the same as the images we saw that were pulled off of tombs of pharaohs. In the museum in Israel, they have this figurine of a Semitic slave. And we know that Semitic slave was who? According to, we read it at the beginning. That Semitic slave was an Israelite slave. It's Black History Month, y'all. Here's some more. This. Here you go. There you go. This. These couple images are found in the book in the corner. It's a Bible dictionary. There's 3 volumes. Because there's a lot of stuff in there. They're big books. I'm actually resting my laptop on 2 of them. Called the Illustrated Bible Dictionary. Inside this book, you'll find this image to the left, and they let you know in this image, this is an Egyptian carpenter working with an adze, whatever tool that is, roughly 1400 BC. That puts it right around the time of Exodus. As you see, this is what would be Afro. See that messy Afro? Asiatic. This is your Semitic. This is your Israelite. This is your children of Israel serving with rigor in Egypt. Right, this is black and white, but you can see these are not white people. See that Michael Jackson fro? Right there. And they give the description of this photo, grapes being picked in an Egyptian vineyard. This is of a wall painting tomb of Nakat, Thebes, roughly 1420 BC. They don't let you know it's a slave, but you can see they're wearing the slave clothing and they're doing a slave job. They're picking the grapes. The Egyptians wasn't picking their own grapes, were they? With all those children of Israel serving with rigor, you think they were picking their own grapes? I think not. These are children of Israel, Afro-Asiatics, so-called black people. Go ahead.
Who's the author?
The author of this book is Goliath Papyri. That's like a company, but that's who authored it. I have them right here, so I can put you on to that. No problem. Before we leave, if you want. And I like them. There's even more. There's a real good photo of some real good photo of some hold on. I hate when it does this, lock it. Okay. Next photo. Got a couple scriptures for this. You'll see why. This is Egypt as well. As you see in the photo, there is a yoke of iron around this young woman's neck because she's a slave in Egypt. Numbers 33 and 5 reads, and the children of Israel removed from Ramses and pitched in Succoth. The purpose of these scriptures are to show Ramses. So the children of Israel were serving in Egypt and they were in Ramses, right? And the children of Israel, Exodus 12:37. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth. About 600,000 on foot. There were men beside children. Where were we journeying from during Numbers and Exodus? Slavery in Egypt. This is letting us know we were in that slavery, fleeing from where? Where are we fleeing from? We just read, but where? We're reading it. Ramses. Numbers 33 and 3. And they departed from Ramses in the first month, on the 15th day of the first month. To the wilderness from Ramses. What was the first month, 15th day? Passover. We did Passover in Ramses. It's part of Egypt. And I believe it was a pharaoh, but it was a part of Egypt. This is given it as a place. Importance of these scriptures right here. This is from the same book those other images were found in, and they detail this image as a faience. I guess that's how you say it. Faience tile showing a Negro. They're saying Cushite. We know that that's bull crap. But that ain't important. Prisoner, a Negro prisoner, from the temple of Ramses III, roughly 1170 BC. Also, these times are rough estimates, to be honest, and put you right around the time of what we read in Numbers, what we read in Exodus. Put you right around the time of the Exodus from Egypt, where who was serving with rigor? Who was serving with rigor? Children of Israel, that's right. I have one video to play for the class. We're not going to go through a whole lot of videos. We'll try to play this one.
Back then, what they call Israelites, or what they call Hebrews back then.
Hold on real quick. So let me pull it up in my dashboard 1 second. Pull this up in the dash. Video playing.
Oh, I see the cow. And I'm not you. Yeah, you go. Yeah, I'm touching you. What? Oh, I need the candle. Yeah, but yeah.
Like there's a lot of buffering going on today.
Probably was raining.
Ancient Egypt, one of the most powerful civilizations of the Bronze Age. Conqueror of Nubia, breadbasket of the known world. Land of great wealth and beauty. Tamer of the Nile River. And builder of great monuments and temples that reach the heavens. Mother of civilization and great wanderer of the world. But even this mighty kingdom nearly fell to ruin had it not been by the power and blessings of the Most High, Hashem, through a Hebrew man named Joseph. Shalom and welcome. This episode will cover the life of Joseph. Our goal is to figure out which dynasty and kingdom of Egypt was Joseph a part of. Also, our goal is to figure out the biology of the Egyptians and early Hebrews of this period. Our final goal is to see what modern human populations share similar genetic ancestry to populations living in Egypt during the dynasty and period of Joseph. Now let's touch on phenotype. What did Joseph, Asenath, Manasseh, and Ephraim look like? Let's begin with Joseph. But before we begin, I made a video titled From Shem to Abraham. What did Proto-Semites look like? This video details the likely phenotype of Joseph's ancestors. I'll briefly summarize this video, but all my sources are quoted in that video. So check it out before watching this one if you want context for what I'm about to say. With that being said, let's begin. According to the genealogy, Joseph descends from Shem. This gives us an idea how Joseph may have looked, because according to early Jewish, Christian, and Muslim sources, Shem produced dark-skinned people, ranging in skin tones from light brown and medium brown, dark brown, and even black. According to Pirkei Rabbi Eleazar, Noah blessed his sons and his grandsons, and he blessed them with their several settlements, and he gave them as an inheritance all the earth. He blessed Shem and his sons, black but commonly, and he gave them the inhabitable earth. The Persian historian Tabri quotes Ibn Abbas as saying, born to Noah were Shem, whose descendants' colors are a black complexion, with a light brownish undertone and a dark blackish brown. Bar Hebraicus speaks of Noah dividing the world among his sons, Shem, the land of the browns. And according to the book titled The History of the Messengers and Kings, it reads, "The children of Shem settled in the center of the earth, which is between Satmah and the sea, and between Yemen and Syria. Allah made the prophets from them, revealed the books to them, made them beautiful, gave them a black complexion, luminous and free of blemish." So early Jewish, Christian, and Muslim sources all state that Shem's descendants were light brown, medium brown, dark brown, and even black. But now let's take an academic approach. According to academia, Natufians are the ancestors of Semites. Natufians have been described as looking like sub-Saharan Africans, Negroid, and in between Niger-Congo and Northeast Africans. As a matter of fact, Natufians likely resembled their Ibero-Mauritian cousins, and Ibero-Mauritians resembled Kifians. In the past, most human populations were dark-skinned, whether it was in Europe, such as the British Isles with Chatterman, or Scandinavia. Even Proto-Indo-European Yamnaya were intermediate brown and dark to black-skinned. The Proto-Indo-European Yamnaya were not pale-skinned. Pale skin only existed at 1.8% 7,000 years ago, according to Lazarus' 2022 paper. According to the paper titled Supplementary Materials for a Genetic Probe into the Ancient and Medieval History of Southern Europe and West Asia, as you can see in the yellow box, Russia Myacope cluster, Russia steep Myacope, Russia Yamnaya cluster, etc. All of those are Proto-Indo-European populations, the earliest, the first Indo-Europeans. And in the red box, you should see percentages that say dark hair, light hair, black hair, blonde hair, brown hair, red hair, blue eyes, brown eyes, dark skin, dark to black skin, intermediate, and pale skin. When it comes to the first Proto-Indo-Europeans, they have zero pale skin, as you can see. Proto-Indo-Europeans, the earliest Indo-European people, were not pale skinned. Proto-Indo-Europeans either would have had dark skin, dark to black skin, or intermediate skin. Proto-Indo-Europeans also would have typically had dark hair, black hair, and brown hair. They only would have had around 20% of light hair, but 0% blonde hair and 0% red hair. As for the eye color, they typically would have had brown eyes compared to blue eyes. So with that being said, Proto-Indo-Europeans, the first Indo-European people, would have typically been dark featured, having dark skin, dark eyes, and dark hair. With that being said, everyone's ancestors, even the ancestors of Indo-Europeans, was dark-skinned 7,000 years ago. That means the question we have to ask ourselves is this: did Joseph's ancestors remain dark-skinned? And did Joseph himself remain dark-skinned? I believe they did. First off, Joseph's oldest and closest ethnic relatives are Jokdanites. Jokdan is the son of Eber, and Jokdan was the brother of Peleg. Peleg is whom Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob would descend from. Jokdan descendants settled South Arabia. Jokdanites and South Arabians have typically been described as looking like Hamites, East Africans such as Abyssinians, Ethiopians, and Somali, even Dravidians and Negroid. This is actually very similar to how anthropologists describe Proto-Semites in Mesopotamia. Early Semitic remains found at Kish in Mesopotamia were said to look like East Africans or the browner Africans, which are often described as looking Negroid. But interestingly enough, looking at the artwork and the ways ancient Semites in Mesopotamia depicted themselves gives an interesting perspective. These ancient Semites depicted themselves with dark skin, ranging from medium brown to dark brown and even black. Joseph's ancestor Abraham could have looked like these depictions of Semites in Mesopotamia. But let's go further than this. Abraham was said to be from Ur of the Chaldeans. If Abraham looked like a Chaldean, Chaldeans were described as looking like Cushites, Ethiopians, Hamites, etc. This is a depiction of 3 Chaldeans by Greeks. Clearly, they are dark-skinned, specifically dark brown. Their hair is also thick and dark, and their eyes are dark. But perhaps the most interesting parallel to Chaldeans is with the Elamites. The Elamites are another Semitic people said to descend from Shem, son of Eber. Historians have said that Elamites and Chaldeans resemble each other and are from the same race. It seems like they do share some resemblance, both being dark-skinned. They also clearly are depicted with dark brown skin, dark hair, and dark eyes. Elamites in their own right are a very interesting group. As I stated, they are descendants of Shem. The Elamites are also described as looking like Cushites, Negroid, and African. Clearly, they are depicted with dark brown skin and thick dark hair and dark eyes. Interestingly enough, the Elamites are located in Iran. Iran in ancient times, according to Lazarus' 2022 paper, states that Iran had intermediate brown and dark to black skin. Only 5.9% was pale skin. Ancient Iran had 95% dark hair, but only 5% light hair. They had 62.5% black hair, but 0% blonde hair, 37.5% brown hair, but 0% red hair, 2.5% blue eyes, but 97.5% brown eyes, 42.5% dark skin, 17.5% dark to black skin, and 40% intermediate skin, but 0% pale skin. And here are more populations of Iran in the yellow box and the red box, and you can pause to read the percentages, but basically most of ancient Iran had dark hair, black hair, brown hair, and they also had brown eyes, dark skin, dark to black skin, and intermediate skin. So Lazarus' paper actually matches perfectly with the depiction of the ancient Elamites. But returning to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, some people believe that they came from Syria or Anatolia. Definitely the wives of Isaac and Jacob came from Syria. But even these populations were very dark-skinned according to Greeks and Arabs. The Egyptians depicted 2 Bedouins from Syria, and the Assyrians depicted very dark-skinned Aramaeans as well. According to Lazarus' 2022 paper, the people in Syria, Anatolia, Turkey, and even Armenia were not pale. These populations were intermediate brown and dark to black skinned. And as you can see in the paper, in the yellow box and the red box, Anatolia had 79.0% dark hair, but they only had 21.0% light hair, 34.6% black hair, but only 1.2% blonde hair, 64.2% brown hair, but 0% red hair, 6.2% blue eyes, but 93.8% brown eyes. They had dark skin at 18.5%, dark to black skin at 13.6%, and intermediate skin at 67.9%, but 0 pale skin. And again, that was Anatolia. Now for Armenia, they have majority dark hair, but less light hair, majority black hair, but less blonde hair, majority brown hair, but 0 red hair, and 0 blue eyes, and 100% brown eyes. They have majority of dark hair and a majority of dark to black skin and a majority of intermediate skin, but 0% pale skin. So both the populations in Anatolia and Armenia are a majority dark featured, having dark hair, dark eyes, and dark skin. And here is another segment in the paper dealing with Armenia and you can pause to check out the percentages, but basically 0% pale skin in all of them. Again, this is in the yellow box and the red box. And the majority of these ancient Armenian populations have dark hair, black hair, brown eyes, dark skin, dark to black skin, and intermediate skin, and 0 pale skin. So the majority of these old Armenian populations are dark featured. And the same can be said for Turkey or Anatolia. Again, you can pause to look at the percentages, but basically 0% pale skin in ancient Turkey or Anatolia. The majority of the population has dark hair, black hair, brown eyes, dark skin, dark to black skin, and intermediate skin. So again, these populations are dark featured for the most part. And the time frame that these papers are looking at is from the Chalcolithic to the late Bronze Age. If you look and pause at the Armenia, LBA stands for Late Bronze Age. And if you look at the Anatolia, MLBA stands for Middle Late Bronze Age. And CHL stands for Chalcolithic or Copper Age. And MBA stands for Middle Bronze Age. So most of these populations in Armenia and Anatolia, Turkey, from the Chalcolithic to the Middle Bronze Age and the Late Bronze Age, had dark skin, and they did not have pale skin, as well as other dark features such as dark hair and dark eyes. Therefore, I would say that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were likely intermediate brown and dark to black skin. They also would have dark hair and dark eyes. This basically would fit the description of the ancient Semites. I find it interesting how the depiction of these ancient Semites fit with Lazarus' 2022 paper, with much of the Middle East being intermediate brown and dark to black skin. Furthermore, this fits with the indigenous world skin tone map, with the Middle East populations being light brown, medium brown, dark brown, and black. But this essentially confirms in a roundabout way what early Jewish, Christian, and Muslim writers said about the descendants of Shem, looking light brown, medium brown, dark brown, and even black skin. From Rabbi Eleazar, he blessed Shem and his sons black but comely, and he gave them the inhabitable earth. And from the Persian historian Tabli, born to Noah were Shem, whose descendants' colors are a black complexion with a light brownish undertone and a dark blackish brown. And according to Bar Hebraicus, Shem, the land of the Browns. And according to the history of the messengers and the kings, the children of Shem settled in the center of the earth, which is between Satma and the sea, between Yemen and Syria. Allah made the prophets from them, revealed the books to them, made them beautiful, gave them a black complexion, luminous and free of blemish. With that being said, I would say that Joseph's ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, would have looked like these ancient Semites. They would fit within the spectrum of an intermediate brown and dark to black complexion, much like Lazarus' 2022 paper and the description of Shem's descendants and the indigenous skin tone map, among other things. But now let's actually focus on Joseph himself. What did he specifically look like? Abraham settled in the land of Canaan in the Middle Bronze Age. Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph were all born in Canaan. According to Lazarus' 2022 paper, the population in Canaan at the time was intermediate brown and dark to black skinned. There was 0 pale skin in that time. If you look at the chart, the yellow box and the red box, dark hair was at 90.9%, but light hair was at 9.1%. 63.6% had black hair, whereas 2.3% had blonde hair. 34.1% had brown hair, but 0% red hair. 6.8% blue eyes, but 93.2% brown eyes. Now for the skin tone, 38.6% had dark skin, 13.6% had dark to black skin, and 47.7% intermediate skin, and 0 pale skin. And again, this is dealing with Levantine populations. Now, if you look at Israel Canaanite MLBA, which stands for Middle Late Bronze Age, Levantine populations in the Middle Late Bronze Age had 100% dark hair and 0% light hair, 71.4% black hair and 0% blonde hair, 28.6% brown hair and 0% red hair and 0% blue eyes, but they had 100% brown eyes. Now, as for skin tone, the Levantine populations of the Middle Late Bronze Age had 57.1% dark skin, 14.3% dark to black skin, and 28.6% intermediate skin, and 0% pale skin. Again, these are Levantine populations in the Middle Late Bronze Age, which mostly had dark features. This is the time in which Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph would have lived in. And what's interesting about the description in Lazarus' paper is that there are depictions of people in the land of Canaan around this time. They're clearly depicted with dark skin. Joseph could have looked like this, having dark, medium brown skin, as well as black hair and dark eyes. Now, another method to determine Joseph's phenotype is by looking at Semitic populations in the land of Egypt during the time of Joseph. How are they depicted by the ancient Egyptians? So here is a Semitic slave from the 12th dynasty of Egypt. Clearly, he is dark-skinned, specifically medium brown, and he had black hair and dark eyes. This is how Joseph could have looked when coming into Egypt. Now, another method to determine Joseph's phenotype is by looking at the depiction of the viziers that Joseph may have been. There are several viziers of Egypt that Joseph could have been according to previous videos. So let's look at how they are depicted. Some scholars believe that Joseph could have been Khnum-Hotep. Khnum-Hotep is clearly depicted dark-skinned with a medium brown complexion, black hair, and dark eyes. So this could be Joseph. We could actually be looking at biblical Joseph. But scholars also say Joseph could have been Sobek-Amhat, and he is also clearly depicted dark skin with a medium brown complexion, black hair, and dark eyes. So we could be looking at the biblical Joseph by looking at this stela. Now, the last vizier Joseph could have been is a mysterious statue. There's no true idea of how he could have looked because the face is smashed and the color faded away greatly, but it is believed that this person had yellow skin. Therefore, we may have to look at another group that came into Egypt around this time, an Asiatic group called the Hyksos, who are also depicted with yellow skin. Therefore, another method to determine Joseph's phenotype is by looking at the Hyksos. The Hyksos were depicted by the ancient Egyptians, and clearly these people weren't depicted pale or white skinned, nor were these people depicted with black skin. The Hyksos were depicted yellow, but obviously humans aren't literally the color yellow. I interpret this yellow color to mean light brown, and here's why. When the Egyptians depicted the Hyksos with this yellow skin, they also depicted the gazelle with a similar color. The type of gazelle these Hyksos have is likely the Dorcas gazelle. The Dorcas gazelle is native to the region of Africa and Arabia. If you look at the Dorcas gazelle, it's clearly light to medium brown. They have a medium brown but a yellowish color. I would say that the Hyksos had a similar skin tone to the fur of the Dorcas gazelle. If you look at the Dorcas gazelle and the Hyksos side by side, they're definitely similar in color. With that being said, the Hyksos also look very similar to populations in the Levant. The Egyptians depicted other people in the Levant with a light brown to medium brown skin, but also with a slight yellowish undertone. But returning to the Hyksos, we're clearly looking at a people that are intermediate brown skinned, ranging from a light brown to a medium brown with a yellowish undertone. With that being said, Joseph and his family could have looked like this, only using populations from the Levant as our representation. Basically, they would range from a light brown to a dark brown and have a yellowish undertone. They would also have black hair and dark brown eyes. And again, the visual representation we are using is only from the Levant if we were to use that perspective. And now let's combine everything that we've covered visually. And basically what we see is what Lazarus 2022 paper illustrated. Joseph, as well as the 70 members of his family, could have looked intermediate brown and dark to black skinned. They would also have black hair and dark brown eyes. And I highly doubt that they would have been pale skinned. And this also happens to fit with what early Jewish, Christian, and Muslim writers describe the descendants of Shem: light brown, medium brown, dark brown, and black. Also, this fits with the indigenous skin tone maps, and once you put all the populations together, I believe it's quite obvious that Joseph and his family would have likely been dark skinned. Hopefully this video was educational and beneficial. Be blessed, and shalom.
All right. So we're not just it ain't just this whole belief of blacks being true Israelites. It's not just a bunch of blacks looking for identity, is it? I was a so-called white man. And he put together, it got a little boring, but I mean, sometimes facts get a little boring. He brought a lot of info out that they're not going to teach us in school. And, maybe since he brought it out, maybe some of our people, if they see this video or watch it now, maybe they might believe it. Because it's not just us. It's not just a bunch of crazy niggas on street corners claiming this information. They know it as well. These books where we're getting these archaeologies and photos from, they weren't written by us. This dictionary wasn't wrote by us. So, that was a lot of good information just to add to all the proofs. Like these people in antiquity, they were a black people. When did they become a pale race of Caucasians? Ugly ones at that. Like hideous. I'm sorry. Facts is facts. But when did these black people with beautiful brown skin of all colors become white? But like he said, he was bringing out the stats. They had 0% pale, 0% blue eyes, 0% blonde hair, but they were always depicted as light to brown. Give me. So read what you got real quick. Then I'm gonna get back in the presentation. Hosea chapter 7, verse 8.
The book of Hosea chapter 7, verse 8. Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. Ephraim's
a cake not turned. He ranges from light to dark. And that's what we find in archaeology. That's what the dude that made that video, that's what he brought out. It's the scholars have said it. So it's not just us. This is a fact. And, so it's not anti-Semitic to question a people that's claiming to be these people, but they totally opposite from what antiquity brings us and what the Bible brings us. not that there can't be any Israelites that are pale, though, because that scripture we just read there. But how did the whole nation become pale? That's where the problem lies. So let me bring back up my screen, go back into the presentation, because there's plenty more. Just like we did with the Northern Kingdom, we're going to do the same thing here, and it's going to knock it out of the park. This is indisputable, in-depth, covering all angles. You can't dispute this. And with all this information we have, anybody don't believe it or doesn't receive it, good riddance. We're moving on. It wasn't for you. The Most High, he got that veil on you. We can't do nothing about it. So moving forward, now we're going to go into a little bit of biblical art from 1400s, 1300s, 1700s. And we're going to see how the people of the Bible were depicted in artwork throughout hundreds of centuries. And what we have on the screen is, as you can see, a depiction of the prophet Elijah and Elias. I believe that's Elisha, by Stefano di Giovanni. What year? 1423. This is what we call so-called black men. To the right of that, this image here on the right, you find this painted on the wall of a monastery. It's the Verone Monastery. I believe it's in Romania, right? We all know in the class, but anybody who's not familiar with the facts, Europe at one time was ran by who? Black people, so-called African Americans today, so-called black people, ran Europe. That was called by Europeans the Dark Ages, right? So this monastery, the Israelites who was in Romania at the time, painted the different stories of the Bible on this monastery, because if you see it, it's a whole lot more than this. It's like the whole monastery they painted different scenes of Revelation and Genesis. It's a whole lot, but it's called the Verone Monastery. Verone, Veronet, I believe, monastery. So as you see here, this image here is of the judgment, and the angel you see is bronze skin, just like the images we find of the Israelites serving the Egyptians. The angel in this painting is the same color. Then you got some demons he's slaying, the demonic spirits, right? But the angel's black, so-called black. Funny enough, now remember, this is, I believe it's a scene from Revelation. If you see the whole, if you look up the whole painting on the wall, it depicts what seems to be what you read in Revelation. So I'm gonna say I'm not sure, so I'm not gonna say it is fact. But what we read in Revelation, right? He that leaveth in captivity shall go into captivity. Look who's going into captivity. This is this was painted once again during dark ages. We didn't make this. We didn't make it up. We didn't paint it. But this thing really exists. Moving on. You got these two paintings here, and there's many more than what we're gonna go over. You got the Russian icon books. If you everybody, probably most of the world knows by now, Vladimir Putin just opened the vaults, right? Brought out all the images they got over in Russia of the biblical characters being black people, or the angels being black, all the different paintings. Originally being painted as black people. And that's what you have here, the 15th century painting of the Assembly of the Archangels. All of them painted with brown, bronze skin, looking like black people. You got something?
Yes, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. When we look at the Russian icons, which is of the 16th century, the baronet is from the 11th to 16th century.
There you go. 11th to 16th century. So we know who was running that. And we know who wouldn't have painted what we know who wouldn't have painted that whole thing on that wall like that. Esau.
And the prices went through the roof on both of those books.
Yeah, the price, man, them books are hard to get. That book is hard to get. And if you do get it, the price is through the roof, like you said. Understandably so. Because to me, that's like that building there, that's like a headshot on what they give us today. So you got the archangels being depicted as black. You got the Most High being depicted as black. I mean, they depicted it as what is wrote in the Bible. And we know we're not supposed to make an image of the Most High. So we're not saying it was good that they painted this, but you see what they didn't paint. We know that we're supposed to not make any images of God or none of that stuff. We understand that. That's part of also what we're coming back to is keeping the commandments. So we're not condoning that these things are out there, but they're out there, and they wasn't painted as pale skinned white people like they do today. But when did that happen? That started happening all the way in the time of the Greeks, because the Greeks sought to paint their images in our Bibles.
Lock onto the scripture up here.
What did he put? Revelations 13:9-10. That was the for the last painting. And you can grab it. We're gonna see part of that in another painting coming up. But yeah, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Just to backtrack that last one. Y'all can put the scripture on the screen. Yeah. But all through the ancient history, you find Israelites being depicted as black people. This is a 1300s painting to the left of Yahushua, who the world knows as Jesus. We know his name to be Yahushua in the Hebrew. Yahushua heals, 1320, 1330, roughly Italy. See a black man. His apostle behind him, his disciple behind him. That's an afro on him. Another so-called black man. Same with the other, whoever these disciples are. Maybe it's John, Matthew. I don't know. But I know how they're painted. They're painted black.
Salafi. I have a scripture.
What you got?
First Maccabees 3:48. And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen sought to paint the likeness of their images.
Mm-hmm. So that's how we had. So the same as they did during the time of the Greeks. That's where you get all the modern day paintings of Jesus, the angels, God, Adam, whoever. From what? They came into power and they decided that they were going to change the images to themselves. Why? Because then when you think of all these people of history, the great men of the Bible, you think of them. When you think of the history of Earth, going back to Adam, you think of them. So now the whole world thinks they're the top. If there's a top phenotype, if there's a top appearance, that's them. If there's a blessed look, if the supreme being, right? Because Adam was made in what? The likeness of God. So now, who's the people of God? We were made in the likeness of God. That's the whole intent and purpose. And so they was doing that with the Greeks. They was taking the images and they were whitewashing. And that's what you got with iconoclasm, right? That's when they during the Renaissance period, they started come back into power. That's when they started to change all these images to their own. Jeremiah, Hosea, Malachi, all depicted as black men. Back to that Verone. These two are also part of the Verone. This is a bigger image of that judgment day scene. Go ahead and read that Revelation 13:9-10.
If any man have an ear, let him hear. If that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword.
So you see in this photo, everybody that's doing good, not burning in fire or going into captivity, they're all black people. Lower left, see that? Playing with the harp. Who's the harp player? David. He has an afro with a crown on his head. See that? It's hard to see, but if you look it up online, get a closer image, you can see that it's a black man with an afro. All these people up here worshiping God, they're all black people. This angel here, same as that one. Looks like a black man. Photo to the right, you got Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's woolly hair. That's woolly hair. All skin of bronze. Then look at the I guess these are like the souls that are crying out in Revelation, maybe. But they're all black. I guess this is Yahushua on the cross. Looks like a young Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Yo, can y'all keep it down? Oh, here. Okay, I forgot. I forgot that I had it on here. This is the close-up. David. See that? That's an afro. I believe this is shoot. I believe that's
Stop touching me.
that might. Yo, why y'all making noise? I'm not sure if that's Jesus or Isaac about to be sacrificed, but either way, afro, brown skin, angel, brown skin. This is supposed to be the hand of God. That ain't no white man's hand, is it? It looks like he's handing down the keys to heaven and hell. That's Revelation, right? So I believe this is a painting they did of Revelation. Angels, black, so-called black. Moving on. Miracle Angel, Greece. Look like a so-called black man. This is also from Vernet. That's Adam and Eve. Not sure who this is, but we get the point. All so-called black people. King David. Look at that. I believe this is supposed to be Solomon. This is also from the Vernet. Got the angels, got the I guess the dead being raised, resurrection of the dead, and who are the dead being raised to glory? What color? Same thing here. This is I believe this is from one of the catacombs in, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, catacombs of Rome, 3rd century. The Good Shepherd. Look at that. Come on, man.
Can I comment about that picture?
Yeah, what you got?
Yeah, when we see Jesus carrying a sheep, what it is when you're herding sheep, if you have a sheep that tends to run off and do its own thing, what the shepherd would do is he would break a leg on it, and then he would carry it until it heals. And then once it heals, that sheep will pray him close.
That's interesting. Seems kind of mean. It works though. Yeah, you learned the lesson, huh?
And he builds a relationship.
Yeah.
He's to being that close, right? Off the nipple.
Right.
And
I never knew that.
And that's how we feel about our Yahweh. That even though the curses are brutal, the end result was to get us close.
Right.
Right.
Right. Well, look, if I ever get some sheep, that's a job. I already know who like that job. We ain't even gonna go into the depth about it, but yeah, I already got a leg breaker. Is that at me 14th century? That's on the Vernet. Michael the Archangel, 18th century. This is found in Jerusalem, probably in the back room. They do have a section when you go through. I guess I don't know, it's a temple or what. not the actual temple because that's gone, but one of the places they let people come in and sightsee and see different paintings and things like that.
Smithsonian.
This is what you'll find in the back room, but they got them. They just ain't got them out front. That's supposed to be Christ. Same thing here. All over the place. Hundreds, thousands. This is David Goliath. It says Tomic Psalter, Kilifarsky Monastery, Bulgaria. Yeah. All right. So moving on from that, now we're going to go into more imagery. Ancient Israelites found on various what they call steles, or like engravings on walls or different artifacts, depictions of different scenes of history. Here we see the Assyrian carrying away of Israel. These guys here, those are your Israelites, Israelite captives with beards and what? Nappy afros. To black people, straight up and down. 2 Kings 18:11. And the king of Assyria did carry away Israel unto Assyria and put them in Halah, in Habor by the river Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes. That's the image that we're finding on that stele. That's what's depicting what we read in 2 Kings 18. And Ezekiel 39:23. And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they trespassed against me. Therefore hid I my face from them and gave them into the hand of their enemies. So fell they by the sword. And that's what this image is. Israel being carried away captive and fallen by the sword. More images from the same Alea, can you take him in there? Lock everybody. Same stele. More images of Israelites bound down to their new masters and captors, the Assyrians, all with afros. This is not your small hats today. Where's the curly curls coming down the cheek? Yeah, the curly sideburns. You don't have that, because the Israelites was never that. That's why. More ancient Israelites. If you look, you see the cornrows coming, the braids coming out the back of the cat. See that? These beards are wool-like, nappy beards. Also fringes all around the borders. So what they talking about? It's got to be down the side of the pant. Since when? I don't see it. Looks like they put wherever you can put them. Maybe I'm crazy.
So I
What do I know?
Jake has always been about fashion.
Look at this one. Leo, get him. So what we have here? Cornrows. This is King Jehu of Israel leads a procession bringing tribute to the Syrian king Shalmaneser, 853 BC. Stop doing all that talking. You. All you gotta do is grab him. Stop talking. King Jehu leads a procession bringing tribute to the Syrian king Shalmaneser, 853 BC. Braids, nappy beards, black people, black men, fringes on the bottom of their garment as well.
Salaki, got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're looking at these images, these are the very images that first inhabited what we call America today. Or these are the people
These
who
are-
out of the Assyrian captivity.
This is King Jehu. So yeah. Oh, yeah. Khan. But before coming here though, was you asking if it's after?
Well, I'm saying we're getting an identity.
Yeah,
of what
yeah,
they
yeah,
look like
Right.
prior to getting here, because there's a strong delusion of what the original people here in
Right.
the Americas look like.
Right, Khan. Yep. Same thing here. Braids. Beards, black man beards. I mean, maybe we're crazy. What kind of beard is that? Is that not the beard of a black man? Maybe I'm making it up. I don't know.
Another important thing to look at as well is that you could see that even though they were in captivity, it wasn't as brutal as Esau, Edom, and the other nations, because look how well they're dressed.
Well,
They're not.
I would hold off on that. The Assyrians were brutal.
Yeah,
They're going. The thing is, we're looking at them going in.
Right. Oh,
They haven't. Yeah, they ain't get stripped down yet.
okay. So,
And these were probably these could have been priests, whatever, but yeah, because remember the first ones, they wasn't dressed all that well. So yeah, these guys they just ain't get there yet. But not everybody. I just want to make sure Assyrians were brutal, but we do find like you got your Daniels, your Ezekiels, your Nehemiahs, who were in this same captivity, and they were able to reach high levels because of their wisdom and the Most High showed favor on them. But no, they were still brutal. Now, I agree with you though. Ain't nobody brutal as Esau. Scriptures tell us that. But these cats, the Assyrians, were brutal too though. Remember, the Assyrians, that's who Tobit was dealing with. He had to keep going and burying our people, burying his brother, because who was putting them to death? That was the Assyrians. It wasn't black on black crime putting other Israelites to death in many. It was the Assyrians. So they was brutal, but yeah, you're right. Nobody's brutal as Esau.
And it says, "And no man shall redeem thee."
Mm-hmm.
There was a form of redemption from Salmanasseh when it came down to Israel, but Esau has not set the captives free.
Mm-hmm. That's a fact. And will not. And will not. That's why, like you said, it ain't man that's going to redeem Israel from this. Hey, even then, it was the Most High. The Most High moved Cyrus's mind. But yeah, that ain't even happening here. It's no partial going returns from this one. Well, the way it was then. Because, you know, we got a few that went back, but they ain't really shouldn't even be there. It said that we'd be delivered from Babylon, so I'm not leaving to go back. When that's supposed to be destroyed and delivery, prophecy says deliveries from Babylon. Why you want to go back? And in the return from Babylon, we actually got the land, like rulership of the land. Cats going back to Israel now, you're not getting to build a smaller temple or any temple. You're not getting control of nothing. We got more braids, nappy beards. The young child got an afro. You definitely ain't seeing a white man with braids like this. These look like wigs. To me, they're wigs. I just say it could be braids because I've had people argue with me in the past. Those ain't dreads. We didn't wear dreads. All right, well, they look like dreads to me. But if you want to call them real thick braids, then I'm fine with that too. But, yeah, they look like cornrows, but to me, they look like dreadlock cornrows because of how thick they are. But they definitely want it other than these definitely ain't white men.
So, we could tell that just because when there's a high outbreak of cancer deaths in Israel and Africa today, these people don't have their faces covered. They're not wrapped all up. They could not bear the sun in those regions and be unwrapped and live.
Yeah.
And the facial features on cheekbones, the wider noses on those.
Yeah, and this one really shows it. What you just said, this Stelly. This one too. That's definitely Negroid features. And that's hard to do on carving. So the fact that you're able to see it thousands of years after, come on, man. Who they trying to play with? There we go, got more. More Israelites of antiquity, nappy beards, braids. See that? And who wears hats like this? I'm saying we wear hats like this. Don't walk around with hats like that. Matter of fact, look like he wearing a Nike. You know how you take the poo shiesty, but you don't actually put it over your face. You wear it like a Scully. Yeah. And it says this is from the same Bible dictionary, and it details it as Bactrian camels among the tribute brought to King Shalmaneser. So this is the same thing. Israel going into captivity with King Shalmaneser, 830 BC. Yeah. Yeah, that's a monkey. Same thing here. Now look here. So this is why I had to stop you because these guys they've been their fringe has been removed, but these are Israelites. Come on, these ain't no white men. And let's read the detail. This image is out of the same book, Rebel Judeans. So these are your Judeans. This ain't even Northern Kingdom. This is your Southern Kingdom. probably leading citizens, your nobles, princes, being flayed alive by their Assyrian captors after the siege of Lachish. Palace of Sennacherib at 704, 681 BC. So this is what they say. Works of Josephus. Moving on from that. You got in the works of Josephus. Arguments against Appian section of works of Josephus, verses 173 to 174. And this is a Greek poet named Charillus giving a description of the Israelites during his time. It says, "At the last there passed over a people wonderful to be beheld, for they spake the Phoenician tongue in their mouths, with their mouths. They dwelt in the Sulaimian mountains near a broad lake. Their heads were sooty." Who knows what sooty means? Nope. Black. Soot. Let's see. Soot. Sooty meaning covered with or colored like soot. What's soot? Soot is a black powdery or flaky substance consisting largely of amorphous carbon produced by the incomplete burning of organic matter. So black soot from something that burnt. So this Greek poet was describing the heads of Israelites as being sooty. Sounds kind of similar to burnt, like burnt in a furnace. Bronze, like burnt in a furnace. Sooty. Or their visage was blacker than coal. So this Greek's describing Israelites of antiquity as having heads that were sooty. They have round resores on them. Their heads and faces were like nasty horse heads. What are most horses? Color. Black or brown. White horses are rare. But they already described it ain't a white horse. It's a sooty. Their heads are sooty. Heads and faces were like nasty horse heads also. They had been hardened in the smoke. What happens when something's in the smoke? Becomes black and hardened. So I think, therefore, that it is evident to everybody that Charillus means us because the Sulaimian mountains are in our country. So Charillus didn't say exactly he's talking about Israel. This is Josephus speaking. Josephus thinks he's talking about us. What's that mean? Josephus, who's an Israelite of 1st century AD, thinks that his people are sooty in their faces. He thinks his people are black people. Or why would he say that? I think that Charillus means us because the Sulaimian mountains are in our country where we inhabit, as is also Lake Asphaltis, for this is a broader and larger lake than any other that is in Syria. So Josephus thinks he's talking about Israelites. Why? Because he thinks he looks like this and he thinks his people look like this. Why? Because they do look like that. Unless he's high on mushrooms. Moving on, more artwork, another time frame. So these paintings you can find in a book called Slavery and Race in the Middle East. I have the book. This first painting is described as being Mughal, India, 1580 to 1585. And the assassin here, if you look close, a black man, he has fringes on the bottom of his coat. Move over. Same time frame. All these warriors, fringes. Why would they be wearing fringes and going to war against the Muslims? Who knows? It's kind of rhetorical. You know why. Why would these black men have fringes and be going to war with Muslims? Because they're Israelites and they're not giving up that identity without dying for it. Right? Makes sense, don't it? And that's what we're going into. Give me that Numbers 15:38. Well, you're good. I'll just continue. So, read it.
The book of Numbers, chapter 15, verse 38.
So, the point is around the 1400s, 1500s, even up to 1700s, before the so-called African American was put in captivity in America, or before or during the time it was happening. The images you find of black men of African American descent, not Africans, the images of those people that were about to be in slavery in America, you'll find that a lot of times they were wearing fringes. Read fringes. What are the fringes for? And who was given the fringes? 15:38. This is Numbers 15:38.
Speak unto the children of Israel.
So Moses was told to speak to the children of Israel and command this to them. Go ahead.
And bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations. And that they put upon the fringe of borders a ribbon of blue.
A ribbon of blue. Go ahead.
And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look upon it and remember all the commandments of the Lord.
So you would find oftentimes so-called black men before slavery or during the time it was happening, they were being stolen and brought to America. You would often find images of them wearing the fringes, and a lot of times with the border of blue. So we just looked at the images of the so-called black men fighting the Muslims with fringes on the bottom of their coats. You have this painting here. This was done in Renaissance or Dark Ages time frame Europe, of a black king, and on his garment, on his shorts, you find what? Fringes with a ribbon of blue. On his shirt, same thing. This painting is off the west coast of Africa, at a French occupied fort. And you see this black man with a garment or of some type over his shoulder with fringes on the bottom of it. You know, most people don't, when clothing is made, when fabric's cut, it's not cut with fringes on. That's something that you put on your garment with some type of intent.
When was this paintings and stuff.
This is roughly 1700s, I believe. This is during the time or before being brought on ships. It's around the same time that this was happening. The ships from the west coast of Africa to the Americas. This one is 1222, year 1222. This is in that book, Race and Slavery, or Slavery and Race in the Middle East. It's a book I have. The servant, a black man, fringes on the bottom of his garment. See that? It says a slave bringing food. Because during the that time frame, Islam was trying to push its religion over the world by the sword and what? And slavery. So this slave has fringes on, meaning what? He was an Israelite. So yes, they brought us from Africa, but another thing they didn't tell us was we weren't African. We migrated there from Israel. That's why you find on the Negro land map, one of the kingdoms along the slave coast, as you see, different sections, they had a different name for that section. The Gold Coast, the part they called the Slave Coast, was located in the kingdom of Judah. Wow. But they said Africans. You had a question or comment?
Yeah, I did have a comment. When we see that you keep being repetitive about them having fringes, but when we came here, they stripped us naked and they stole our knowledge of self. Here in these captivities, we could say, even though it's been hell, we still had a remnant of self. Because we were obeying, we were keeping the law, statutes, and commandments about keeping the fringes on the four corners of our garment.
Well, I was just gonna say the slave we just saw, that was the Arab captivity.
Okay.
I believe Arab, right. Probably. So they allowed that slave to do it. Yeah, probably don't. See, they had Islam came from what? Muhammad made up Islam off of it's a fake me out it's a fake me out perversion of Israel, Hebrewism, Judaism, whatever you want to call it.
So what does this come in at?
Tzitzits, I've yet to see it. To me, Tzitzits come in with. To me, it's a misunderstanding of Deuteronomy, I think 12, where it says put fringes on the four quarters.
Yeah, but there's no proof.
To me, I haven't found any, so I'm not going to say there's none. I haven't found it. You're talking about images of people wearing those things, right? I haven't found it yet. For me, I believe the Deuteronomy one that says put it on the four quarters of your garment. To me, how do you get $1? 4 quarters. A quarter is just a word for 20.25. So 4.25s is a whole. So to me, it's saying the same thing as Numbers 15:38, what we see in the photos and what we put on ours, and you just put it around the whole thing. That's the 4 quarters. Yeah. So to me, it's a misunderstanding. We don't really go in too much on it because, at least they're trying, right?
I have that scripture you talking about. Deuteronomy 22:12.
22:12, right. Go ahead.
Thou shalt make the fringes upon the 4 corners of thy vesture, wherewith thou coverest thyself.
So to me, that just means the whole of it. To me, it doesn't mean take find 4 locations and put one on each of the. But either way, like Mike Hollis said, yeah, we don't. I haven't seen it in any old photos, but maybe they're out there. I leave anything open to possibility, right? But they didn't tell us that they was taking slaves from America from the Kingdom of Judah. All they said was the Africa part. So there's this book called The Slave Ship, A Human History by Marcus Rediger. And the part I want is, hold on. Okay. Just want to adjust that real quick. Okay. The second paragraph. So this book called The Slave Ship, A Human History. In this certain section, it gives a detail of a slaver going through the west coast of Africa, different villages, trying to, buy some slaves. So this paragraph, Salakia, that's a different part. But either way, this is dealing with the Kingdom of Judah, Salakia. Same book though. The story I'm talking about, that's coming up. So I mixed it up in my head. So it says, and yet the one surviving document Norris wrote that was not intended for publication tells a different, rather less idyllic story. Norris kept a captain's log for his voyage in the Unity from Liverpool, why'd he come from Liverpool? It's a different lesson we're going to deal with us being in Europe, ruling Europe, and also going into captivity from Europe. But what they didn't teach us is before going to the west coast of Africa, that boat went to Liverpool first a lot of times. Before going to the west coast of Africa, that boat was picking up Negroes from Great Britain. So that's why it's giving you this detail. The Unity, it went from Liverpool to Wida to Jamaica and back to Liverpool between 1769 and 1771. A week after weighing anchor at Wida and setting sail across the Atlantic, Norris noted that the slaves made an insurrection, which was soon quelled with ye loss of 2 women. And we can stop there. So what's the point? Wida is another word for Judah. So the slave ship would go from Liverpool to Judah, like we see on the Negro land map, Kingdom of Judah. They called that section the slave coast because that's where they were mainly bringing slaves from. Same book, page 90. The main cultural groups of the region were the U to the west. What's U sound like? Jew. And that's what they're talking about, Jews. We see on the map, once again, Kingdom of Judah. We're going to see images of the inhabitants of the Kingdom of Judah, of the west coast of Africa. And you're going to see that a lot of them had fringes on, just like the other photos we went over. So the main cultural group of the region were the Jew to the west, consisting of more than 100 small autonomous village societies, the Fan in the central region, and the more powerful and numerous Yoruba to the eastern interior. And studies have proven that the Yoruba identify as Israelites. It's been proven that the Yoruba descended from Israel, where they commanded the great Oyo Empire. Early in the 18th century, the main slaving ports, here's what I was saying a minute ago. Early in the 18th century, the main slaving ports were Wida, which is Judah, and Jakin, the port of Alada. Sometimes sometimes Judah is spelled Wida, sometimes it's spelled Wida with an O-U-I. And then other times we find it Judah, like on the Negro land map or on different paintings or documents, they write Judah. Wida, and Judah, all the same thing. Just only difference is who's writing it. Now, like I was saying, now some images of those inhabitants. First one says Negris du I can't read that. It's in French. So this was painted by a French painter. And he was doing paintings of the inhabitants of the West Coast, what he saw over there. As you see, this negress, which means a female Negro, has the fringes with the border of blue at the bottom of her sash or whatever it is tied around her waist. Fringes, border of blue. This old lady, this painting painted same time frame. Inhabitants of the west coast of Africa. This elder woman, she might not even be elder. I don't see no grays, but what's on the bottom of her garment? Fringes. Why would she take the time to put fringes on the bottom of that garment? Living in the bush of West Africa. They're even clearer on this elder. It says, De la Rosine du Walla. I believe that's the artist's name, but I can't read that. It's in French or something too, I believe. But this is a painting of the inhabitants of the west coast of Africa. The elder got on fringes on the bottom of his shirt and his long garment. See, in high school, they showed us like naked savages, right? They didn't show none of this.
Well, they wanted us to believe that we were all came from savages.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Uneducated.
Yeah, but we were the opposite.
Yes.
And not just that, we were the opposite, wearing clothing that was commanded in the scriptures to Israel. This is a king of King Amar of one of the small kingdoms on the west coast of Africa. What's he got on? Fringes. Got fringes on his sash, fringes on his pants or shorts, and the garment that he's sitting on, fringes on that. Yep, that's true. Royalty. And you don't find this in the paintings of white people before America. You don't find them decked out in the fringes and keeping customs. Yeah.
They validate the prophecy where it says that Esau shall rule with a rod of iron and live off the fat of the land. Because when you see pictures of Esau and his kingdoms, it's always a warring apparel.
Yeah.
It says that Jacob is just a plain man.
Yep.
That goes right back into your life.
Mm-hmm.
Two different manner of people.
Con. This is Roy de Congo. Roy, I believe, I looked it up. I believe it means king. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but Congo. Congo's West Coast Africa, right?
Yeah, Democratic Republic of Congo.
That's what Roy means?
Yes, that's
R-O-I?
Yep, ROI.
It means all that? Democratic Republic?
Ronaldo.
No, Roy. Roy Day. I think it means king. King of Congo. Look it up for us real quick. That's R-O-I. And I believe it's French, so see what it means. French word, R-O-I means Roy. But we got the photo. He's got fringes on his sash. And some fringes on his garment, too. Yeah. Come on, it's just it's tons of them. Native American Indians, inhabitants of West Coast of Africa, all before being conquered by the so-called white man, making it a point to put fringes on the garments. This woman says, priestess de Judah. See that? That says, so it's a female priestess or whatever of Judah. We know the priests are supposed to be men. So we know we went into captivity because we went off. But what was still there? Fringes. Fringes was still a part of the attire. She's got it on her garment and her sash. Over there in Africa in a kingdom called Judah. Here we got another one. This is a slave de Judah. Whoever she is, he said she's a slave of Judah with fringes. Fringes. Over here. Monsieur something Negre du, I think it's Negro Warriors of Benin. Fringes. And you call that border blue. And it looks like he got on like pomegranates. Maybe. Definitely fringes though. And that's what's important. Y'all thought we were done? We got more. More and more and more and more and more fringes and fringes on fringes. Congo again. Yeah, that word guerrier. Yeah, I believe that's like warrior. But this brother's in the Congo. Got his fringes. How that song go? Mitri and my fringes. So everybody got a smartphone. If we get on our smartphones, use it for something other than social media, get on Google and look up Judah. It's going to tell you who he is. According to the book of Genesis, fourth of the 6 sons of Jacob and Leah, founder of the tribe of Judah, of the Israelites. By extension, he is indirectly upon him of the kingdom of Judah, land of Judea, and the word Jew. And then they give you this image of Judah. This is a simple Google search. Wikipedia gives you this. And you can find some white ones, but this is the first one they give you. And it's a portrait painted by Horace Vernet, 1840s. So this ain't no BHI that made this up. This ain't One West. This is 1840 artists depicting Judah as this black man.
Y'all come on, please. Told you to take your He told you to check your DMs.
I'll check it, but I don't think I can add anything. Let's see. Yeah, I can't really add nothing right now. Yeah, I'll check that out later.
Aura.
Slovakia. Found this image circulating of a couple of slaves. And just to show one of the sisters in the photo, I can't. I'm trying to do the class. One of the sisters in the photo, she's got fringes on the bottom of her dress. So it didn't pass down much, but it passed here. This is we already went over this king, painting of this king, but this black noble, I guess, in Europe. Fringes. Same as the king with the fringes. Numbers 1538. Dark Ages Europe, you got this black man. Got his sword, got his mitre, and his what? Fringes. Looking like he going to the Passover.
My customers.
Yeah. He looked like Jake today. That beard's a 10. Check this artifact out. This artifact, this will take us back to Roman occupied Egypt. I believe I got this out of this dictionary too, but the description given for this: statuette of a warrior carrying an axe and a shield from Egypt, Roman period. Roman period, Egypt. Who was born in the Roman occupation? Roman period of dominance in that region? Christ. Where'd he go to hide out? Egypt. He went to go hide amongst these cats. Black man. But what are we talking about? Fringes. See that? Fringes. You don't find no Alexander the Great statues rocking fringes. You only see us. There's more. Europe, Netherlands, 1600 says 1639. Baptism, Albert Cup, however you pronounce that. Baptism of the eunuch. That's the description of the painting that I'm reading. It's like it. So in the bottom left. Black man with what? Fringes and border of blue. 1639. Looking like a younger Kalak. Look at that. And you got this painting over here, painting of a Moor named Konstantin Makovsky. What does he have on his sash? If you look close, fringes. And of course, a Mitri. This guy looks like he obviously looks like a Negro, but if you was to put a Negro in India or probably even Russia, wherever he's from, Makovsky, out that way, this is a black man with fringes on. But
yeah, the Russian language was made by a brother by the name of Pushkin.
a black man, right?
Yes.
Con.
We're looking at Russian
Right.
languages.
Right.
These were our languages.
Con. This photo on the right says Arawak. I believe that it's he's not an Arawak, but that doesn't matter. He's a black man. I believe this is Haiti. That's the point. That photo is of Haiti. He's calling it an Arawak, maybe, or maybe a slave brought to Haiti. Why he would think it's Arawak? Because that's who inhabited the islands of Haiti and Puerto Rico and all those islands, the Arawaks, Taino Indians. Whichever he is, like I say, he's a black man and he's got on what? Fringes. Numbers 1538. Where are the small hats photos of the past with rocking decked out in fringes and meat? Where are they at? Give me some 1300s Poland photos of a small hat with fringes. Or even zeets. The photo to the left, this is a statue over in Europe somewhere of one of the former rulers of that land. Why is this photo pulled up, though? If you look close, fringes on the bottom of his armor, the fabric hanging down. Each piece of it at the bottom has fringes. Moving on from that, a couple of people of history you may have never heard of. The one on the left, Judah Halevi. He was a Jew philosopher in Spain, 1075, 1141. This is a statue of that philosopher. And like the photo lets us know, with the pointing of the finger and the close-up of the statue's head, it's a nappy, kinky-haired Negro. The one to the right is a statue of Yehuda, or sometimes Jehuda Cresques. He's a famous Spanish cartographer 1350 to 1427. And he's the son of Abraham Crescus, the Jew cartographer, famous for the Catalan Atlas seen below. And I'm not going to zoom in on it. You can just look up this atlas, but it's a famous atlas. I believe that's the one where you guys seen the Mansa Musa image, right? With the black guy. It's like a drawing of a black guy with the crown, right? I believe that's this map. That image, he drew an image for like he drew a lot of things to like symbolize who was in control of the different regions on this map. So that where you get that image of Mansa Musa is where they zoomed in on this map to get that image. So he drew Mansa. That was his drawing of Mansa Musa for that section of the map where Mansa Musa had control of. It was done by a Jew named Abraham Crescus. This statue is of his son, and it's obviously not a white man. If they thought that the Jews were white, why would they make the statue of this guy? And that statue you find in Palma, I believe that's either in Spain or Italy. And it's at a place called Placa del Temple. Palma, Spain, right? Yeah. All right. Here's where we get in trouble. Uh-oh. Here's where we get in trouble. This ain't Mein Kampf. This is actually the Nazis. It's a Time Life book. This ain't even Mein Kampf. This is? Oh, I didn't know. I haven't read Mein Kampf, but I got this image on this book that's on the screen. I got it up here on the bookshelf. It's a Time Life book that they did called The Nazis. So they were going over, all the different things about the Nazis during World War II. In the middle of this book, it's in German, but you can't really read the detail of it on the screen. But I'll tell you what I've read it. I'll tell you what it's letting you know. So one word you definitely can make out whether it's French or not, and that's bastard. So, and I believe it's saying the Jew is a bastard, and is pointing to the one it's speaking of. And they're saying that this guy here is a bastard, and they were saying that he's a bastard because the Jews were known to look like more like these cats, swarthy and Negro. This here is like a Asian-looking black man. If you actually get the book, just in case anybody on screen can't really tell, but I mean you can tell. It's a black man with kind of Asian look. Another black man, another black men. So he's saying this is what they're supposed to look like, and he's calling this guy the bastard. Now, we're going to get a little bit more Germany in this. We brought this up in class before. But, hey, can you get him? Can you get him, please? So, look up, when you get a chance, Neger music. Neger music, and this is from Germany. Neger music was a derogatory term used by the Nazi Party during the Third Reich. So they ain't the same way they ain't like the small hats. They ain't like niggas too much either. So during the Third Reich, to demonize musical styles that had been invented by black people, such as blues and jazz, the Nazi Party viewed these musical styles as degenerate works created by an inferior race, and they were therefore prohibited. The term at that same time was also applied to indigenous music styles of black Africans. Now watch this. This is the poster for that nigga music they ain't like that much. This is a poster of a 1938 exhibit in Dusseldorf, and what it says in German is degenerate music. What you see on the poster, the image you see, is the same image you see making mockery of blacks here in America. That minstrel painting of a black man, making him look like a monkey. But what's funny is on his tuxedo, he has a so-called Star of David. Meaning what? Israel. Meaning, but this was made by Germans. Meaning they thought the same way they thought of those small hats. They thought the same of their blacks, and they thought that the blacks were of what race? Israel, Jew race.
It's a lot. I have a scripture.
You got a scripture? Where we at?
On your early, I'm on Zechariah 9:6.
Uh-huh.
And on your earlier picture where you had bastard.
Yeah.
And here it is in Zechariah 9:6. And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines.
A bastard shall dwell in Ashdod.
That's who's over there now.
Right.
And they're cutting up the Philistines.
Right. So that you got this image here, and you know they give us this history of what Hitler did, right? And all the videos and images, they show one type of people. Now they don't show us, but this is what type of things was circulating about us in Germany. So maybe either they was killing off blacks too, and Esau just they don't want to show us that part, or maybe they were shipping them off to slavery somewhere. But what you can't deny is that they was looking at the nigga as the Jew, and his music is being degenerate, and this is proof right here. Now we know the history of America. What you think is true? There's a part of that history they just ain't showing. Moving along. Now we're going to go into some literature, some historical accounts of blacks being thought of as Jews or being mistaken as possibly Jew because of their appearance, or because of their appearance having a Jew look. And then also going to go into the Babylon Timbuktu. First book is called Jamaica in 1850, or the effects of 16 years of freedom on slavery, written by John Bigelow. And what page is this? I think that's page 15. You'll find this excerpt that says, the whites are mostly English or of English descent. The proportion of Jews of all colors is fearfully great. So Jamaica had Jews of all colors in 1850. That's what he's letting us know. I had never seen a black Jew before, and I was astonished to find how little the expression of the Israelitish profile was affected by color. He never knew this. He thought what he's saying is he thought Jews were white. He was astonished to find that your status as being descended as a Jew wasn't altered by being dark or brown. That's what we just read. He was astonished to find that out. My imagination could never have combined the sharp and cunning features of Isaac with the thick-lipped, careless, unthinking countenance of Cujo. That's one of the Jews there he's talking about. But nature has done it perfectly, if that can be called a combination in which the Negro furnishes the color and the Jew all the rest of the expression. He's saying they're the same. Nature knows no color line. This is by J. Rogers. J. Rogers goes into this book, what it says on the screen: Negro ancestry in the white race. Highlighted part. It says, does it say the page number here? Page 49. Nature knows no color line. I'm gonna read the highlighted part only. Dislike for Jews was not based on race. He's talking about in Rome, just so everybody knows. Dislike for Jews was not based on race. Coming from the east, they were so dark that many Romans took them for Ethiopians. The objections were religious, economic, and political. So this is how you know that the Romans didn't like Jews, but it didn't have nothing to do with them being so dark. They took them for Ethiopians. That's how dark they were. We also find this in the Bible, Acts 21, 37, 39. And it says, and as Paul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, may I speak unto thee? Who said, canst thou speak Greek? Art not thou that Egyptian, which before these days made an uproar and led us out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers? But Paul said, I am a man which am a Jew of Tarsus, a city in Cilicia, a citizen of no mean city. And I beseech thee, suffer me to speak unto the people. So this Roman guard, he thought that Paul, a Jew, to be a Egyptian. Why? Because he was a black man. And so were the Israelites. And that's what the whole world understood at the time. The Greeks, we read the account of the Greek poet, the Romans. This is the same book. The Jews also brought in much Negro strain. Some of the noblest of the Sephardic families, aristocrats of Jewry, were Negroes. And that's speaking Sephardic family, speaking to Jews in Spain. Okay. Isaac de Costa mentions sons and grandsons of Don Jakia ben Josh or Jaish, who were royal treasurers, court physicians, astrologers, and royal favorites at the court of Castile and Portugal. One of whom was Don David Negro, who with another illustrious Israelite, Don Judah, in the following year, followed Donna Leonora, widow of Don Fernando, whose favorites they had been in Castile. His name Negro is derived, according to the author of the Sheth, from Dos Negros, one of the three seigniories which were given to his progenitor by the king of Portugal. Certain it is that the house of Braganza, with all descendants in Europe of King John the First of Portugal, have Jewish blood in their veins. So he's accounting having Jewish blood to be a Negro.
You have a scripture?
Mm-hmm.
This right here is this is in the NLT. Acts 13:1. Among the prophets and teachers of the church at Antioch of Syria and Barnabas, Simeon called the black man. So the prophets and teachers were called the black man.
The prophets and teachers were called what?
The black man.
Where's that at?
In Acts 13:1 in the NLT.
Acts 13:1 in the NLT.
Mm-hmm.
The prophets were being called black in Acts 13:1. Paul was being mistaken for an Egyptian.
Can I read that in the standard King James Version? King James Version?
Go ahead.
Now there were in the church that at Antioch certain prophets and teachers as Barnabas and Simeon that were called nigger, and Lucius of Cyrene and Manaen, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch in Saul.
So they were being called nigger, which means black in Latin, right? So what we're seeing is undeniable that the Jews have always, the Israelites have always been a black people, a people of color. We just read how the Spanish Jews, what are they called? Sephardic Jews in Spain. All the lineage of that, Don, what we just read, Don David Negro and King John the First all have Jewish blood, which was being called the same as Negro blood. Same book, you go to the middle and you'll find what's it called? These are what's it called? The family crest, Khan, the water. So in the middle of this book, Nature Knows No Color Line, J. Rogers provides a ton of family crests from Dark Ages Europe. And the purpose of him putting all these crests in the book is because most of them, all the families, they have images of black men. These are black families. But when you go through it, some of them, you'll find not just images of black faces, you'll find things that tie into being descendants of Israel on these family crests. And on the screen is be the first one. You look to the right and you have what? On this family crest, you have the shield, what's called so-called shield of David. We know to be the pomegranate or lily. And a so-called black man's face on the left side of it. This is the Erman Gilly. It's French. Either way, this is a French, German, Slovakia. A German family with Israelite ties, and they're black.
Slovakia, I cannot ask Clark to speak up.
Yeah, when you speak up louder. Louder. Here's another one. This is I believe this is German as well. A German family. You see their family crest has on the some wings. On the left wing, it has a so-called Star of David. On the right wing, a so-called Star of David. Black families of nobility in Europe. Blacks ruled Europe, and blacks understood their Israelite descent while ruling Europe. There's two more. This is Italy. The one on the left. The one on the right is still Germany, I believe. So you got the Moretti family of Florence, Italy. Black nobility. You see the black head. And then the so-called Stars of David. Got the German family, Grutter Morin, however you say that. Also, Moor means what?
Black.
Black. black Germans with, on their family crest, so-called Stars of David.
Already is an acronym again.
This is black jewelry, better known as real jewelry. Understand that. Same book, page 123. Nature knows no color line. Highlighted part. Strabo, 30 BC, says the people of Western Judea were of part Egyptian ancestry. So why was who was Paul mistaken for? Egyptian. The Jews were of part Egyptian ancestry, but he says, although the inhabitants are mixed up, thus the most prevalent of the accredited reports in regard to the temple at Jerusalem represents the ancestors of the present Judeans, as they are called Egyptians. Tacitus of about 90 AD says many assert that the Jews are an Ethiopian race. So everybody in history always seen the Jews as being Negroes. Drop down a little bit. Why it says an interesting graduation of all shades down to the black is exhibited by the who? The Jews. Especially dark were the Jews of Spain and Portugal. So when they were putting out Jews from Spain, why were blacks going into slavery from Spain? Because they was the Jews being put out of Spain or put in slavery in Spain. The Portuguese Jews were very dark, says Pritchard.
Statement. Where we see them being put out of Spain, that's where they get the running of the bulls from. The running of the bulls,
really?
11, that's when they made their last stand. Pushing them out of Spain.
Okay, kind. That makes sense now. That's why they celebrate every year then, huh? They always celebrate anything that has something to do with our destruction. And that's a yearly celebration, the running of the bulls.
And the bullfightings. In the bullfightings, you have the white, you have the man dressed in white of many lights, the coats of many lights. And in the end, he puts down the big bad black bull.
They do always fight a black bull. That's crazy. I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah, so like it says here, the Portuguese Jews were very dark, says Pritchard. The Duchess de Ambretes, wife of Napoleon's ambassador to Portugal, said that the Jew, the Negro, and the Portuguese could be seen in a single person. So dark were the Jews, especially of Portugal and southern Spain, that many whites thought all Jews were black or dark. This belief, said Barbot, shows what an error most people are in, since, he says, the German Jews, as for example, those of Prague, are as white as most of their German countrymen. Many of the Jews who were banished from Portugal by John II settled in the West Indies. John Bigelow, whose book we just read, we read his book first. John Bigelow, who visited Jamaica in 1850, saw the descendants of these Jews and says they were Negroid. The Eastern Jews who settled in Austria, Poland, and Russia were Negroid too. Count Adam Górski of Poland, who visited the United States in 1857, said the Jews of his country strongly resembled American mulattoes. So that's talking about Jews of different colors, from dark to light brown. That's what a mulatto is, somebody mixed with black and white. Numbers of Jews, he said, had the greatest resemblance to the American mulattoes. Sallow complexion, thick lips, crisp black hair. What's sallow mean? I'm going to look it up. I'm sure it has something to do with being dark. Sallow complexion. So this is yellowish. So light skin. Sallow complexion, light skin, thick lips, crisp black hair. Once again, Negro. Dark Negroes to light Negroes. Of all the Jewish population scattered over the globe, 1/4 dwells in Poland. I am therefore well acquainted with their features. On my arrival in this country, America, I took every light-colored mulatto for a Jew. So he thought, because of where he was from, all the light-skinned Negroes were Jews. And if anybody thinks that Jay Rogers was just making all this up, a lot of people, they need references. If you get this book, Jay Rogers provides reference after reference of everything he brings out. So we're not going to go into the references. You can do that on your own if there's doubt. Next highlighted part, Karl Marx, who bore a strong resemblance to Frederick Douglass, undoubtedly came of this Negroid stock. His nose was broad, his hair frizzly, and his color so dark, he was called the Moor. Karl Marx was a Jew. Marx. All right, it's almost 5. All right, we're gonna go through this.
Y'all can put Isaiah 51 and 20.
We're gonna go through. We're gonna go through this, and then we'll close out till next session. So you got it's a book called Memoirs of the Secret Service of John Mackey, Esquire, during the reigns of King William, Queen Anne, and King George I. So this guy was a spy, and he was a spy, and he in this book he gives an account of all the different people of the king's court, right? So on page 25, the King's Court of Great Britain. So that's what he details in this book. He details everybody in part of the King's Court. This section here is page 25. Daniel, Earl of Nottingham, Secretary of State. And look how he describes the appearance. The appearance of the Earl of Nottingham. He have also the exterior air of business, or I think that's business. Exterior air of business and application enough to make him very capable. In his habit and manners, very formal. A tall, thin, very black man, like a Spaniard or Jew, about 50 years old. So John Mackey was undercover, giving details of all the different members of the court of the King of England. And this guy he describes as being very black, and because he's very black, he's similar to a Jew, meaning what they took the Jews, understood the Jews to be, once again, black people in England. This is during the time of, it said, King William, Queen Anne, and King George. This whole book, this is going to be a part of our Blacks in Europe class. We're going to put that together. But if you get this whole book, he's going through the whole court, and most of the people that are part of the government of England at this time, most of the people were black people. Just that point, just to show that, once again, blacks ruling Europe. And we're going to put together a class on that. So yeah, I think we're going to. Yeah, next week we'll start off with Babylon Timbuktu. me close this window. Before we close out, get that scripture, Yakinan wanted, Isaiah 51:20.
Book of Isaiah, chapter 51, verse 20.
Isaiah what?
51, verse 20. Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of the street, as a wild bull in the net. They are full of fury of Yahweh, the rebuke of thy God.
They are full of what?
They are full of.
I don't really know why he wanted that verse. Don't worry about it. So, yeah, Khan. That's it for class. It's almost 5 o'clock. We're gonna go ahead and close out. The water for watching, the water for hanging in there. Hope the class was edifying. This is part 1. There's going to be another part 2, possibly part 3, proving the so-called African Americans or so-called black men are the true Jews / Israelites of the Bible according to history, archaeology, and the scriptures themselves. End out by giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh by Shem Mashiach Yahweh Shai. Once again, Shabbat Shalom to everybody online and to all Israel, and Kwam Yashala.
Woman,